Hey, vinyl friends and vinyl community, it's Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records, and I'm here with another contest entry. I've been doing a lot of these lately, and I never thought I would, but there's a lot of really cool contest topics that I think are awesome that make good video content, so why not get involved on them? So this one is for Dan's Vinyl channel, and I've been watching Dan for a while now. He does great videos, awesome collection of metal music, and some good pop music that I really like as well. And so this contest is called the Change Contest, I guess is what we'll call it. Dan is going to change the name of his channel to something that is a little easier for friends and family to find. And so he thought one thing would be cool would be 3 to 5 albums, or I'm going to break that and do a little more, that signify a change, whether it be simple as a change in a band lineup or something that changed your life or just anything that has to do with change. So that's what we're going for here. Stick around and I'm going to show you. I pulled out 7 albums that have interesting changes that I think are cool. So stick around after the break and we'll get right into it. All right, welcome back. So the topic is change. And so I figured for the first 2 here, I'm going to start off and make it real easy. Band lineup changes, but significant band lineup changes, I think. So the first one I'm going to show you is a highly underrated album, I think, by this band. And it doesn't get enough credit for being as good as it is. And that's because it's missing key members of the band here. After a major split in the band, Aerosmith came back with this album, A Rock in a Hard Place, and it's the only album that does not feature Joe Perry on guitar. Jimmy DeCrispo stepped in to play guitar on this one. Jimmy Crespo, I can't remember. Anyway, and I think it's actually a really good album. And what's really cool is when Joe Perry did come back to Aerosmith, he ended up playing a couple of the songs on here live with the band anyway. So very nice. If you haven't heard this album and you like Aerosmith, give it a chance. It's pretty darn good album. So band change, significant here. Rockin' a Hard Place by Aerosmith. And the second one is another band lineup change, and this is a big one for me because I was a huge fan of this band, but this is also my favorite album by this band, which is crazy. It's the only there's only 2 albums from the band that do not feature the original lineup, and that is because Mr. C.C. DeVille got kicked out of Poison, and they replaced him with a guy some might know as Richie Kotzen from the Winery Dogs, also played in Mr. Big and a couple other things. But this is Poison's Native Tongue album. It is my favorite Poison album of all time. I saw this concert tour when they came through in 1993. They were touring with Damn Yankees, Ted Nugent and Tommy Shaw, Jack Blade's band, and also Firehouse opened up for them. So really cool concert, awesome concert. And this album, I just love this album. So it's, to me, one I wanted to show in this because it is a band lineup change, a significant band lineup change. This is probably the most sophisticated Poison album they ever did, and it's just filled with great stuff. So Poison, Native Tongue. All right, now we're going to get into albums that changed me as a person. The first one is really the reason that I love music to begin with. This is the first artist that I fell in love with and had a fandom for, and I still do to this day. And as weird as he may be, I don't care. This is Michael Jackson's Bad album. This album was my introduction to music on a large scale. I had obviously heard music in the house. My dad is a big Beatles fan and whatever else, but when this came out, I was just taken aback. I mean, the songs on here, I know every song on here. I would sit down in my house and write out the lyrics to the songs while listening to the albums. That's how obsessed I became with Michael Jackson as a kid. I would dance like him, or try to dance like him, and sing all of his songs, pretend I was him, all sorts of stuff. I wore some clothes to make me look like him at times. It was crazy. But Michael Jackson was the first real guy I became a huge fan of music-wise and made me a music fan, and this is the album that did it for me. So Michael Jackson, bad. The next album I want to show you is an album that changed me again. Prior to this album and hearing this album, I was your top 40 pop, that type of music guy. That's what I listened to. That's what I loved, and that's what I enjoyed. But when I heard this in the summer of my 6th grade year, going into 7th grade, two buddies and I got together at the local community park, and we were shooting hoops, and he brought this album out. And it's the first time I heard anything like it, and I really, really enjoyed it. And now I'm a super fan of this band. We're talking about AC/DC, The Razor's Edge. What an album. This was my introduction to AC/DC, obviously. And from there, I became a massive fan of AC/DC. And I've got all their albums on vinyl now. And this one's always going to be special to me because it's the first one and really got me into heavy metal music. So I'm going with AC/DC's The Razor's Edge. And on that same kind of vein, this is the album that changed the landscape of the music business in the 1990s. And it really, really pissed me off at the time. I'm talking about Nirvana, Nevermind, right here. I was not a big fan of Nirvana because they basically made the music that I loved, that hair metal, hard rock, heavy metal bands, obsolete for a while in the music world. They weren't popular, the radio stations shut down, and this replaced them, and that always really pissed me off. Secretly, I really enjoyed this album, but I wouldn't give it the time of day, and this is really the only Nirvana album that I truly actually enjoy to this day. Just don't get them as a band, but Nirvana Nevermind changed the landscape of music and really what I had to get into. The next band is the band that got me into that new type of music, that grunge, that alternative rock. I'm talking about Alice in Chains' Dirt. When this came out, my buddy James played this album all the time, everywhere we were at. And I gotta say, I loved it. It's a little darker than a Nirvana, and the other stuff that was coming out in grunge is a little heavier, so it really has that aspect of that heavy metal sludgy sound that I liked anyway. And so because of Alice in Chains and this album, I gave alternative rock and grunge music a chance, and to this day it fills a lot of my collection, is that 90s Pearl Jams and your Screaming Trees and the bands like that. So this was the album that kind of let me open up to that kind of music after being upset with what Nirvana did to me. And the last album I want to show is an album that changed me because when I was a kid, when I was in my early teens, I was in a band, or a barn band, I should say. And we played a lot of music, and what thing I really enjoyed doing was writing music. Once I got into college and things like that, I really stopped writing music, and it was always something that was missing from my life. And then right around the time that my wife got pregnant with our first child, I started to pick up my guitar and play again. And it wasn't until I heard this artist writing songs at the young age of 16 years old that were brilliant, to me anyway, that I was inspired to do the same thing and start writing again. So this is Taylor Swift. Crazy as that may seem, Taylor Swift's self-titled album is what really got me to open up again and start writing music once more. And so I have to thank Taylor. She continues to be an inspiration to me as far as writing music goes. I think she's fantastic. I know there's a split in people's perceptions of her, but to me, I love the music she does, even the country, the pop, all of it. I think she's absolutely fantastic and a wonderful person. And so I thank her for this album, because without this album, I wouldn't have written so many songs that are out there now that mean a lot to me. So thank you, Taylor Swift. And that's going to do it for albums that changed things. I had a bunch more. Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion was an album that really helped me become a massive hard rock, heavy metal fan as well. And Beatles albums, I could say the Beatles albums really gave me a good perspective on things like that. Tons of different changing lineups, Van Halen from Roth to Hager, things like that. It could show that, but these are the ones I thought were most significant and albums I wanted to share that I didn't know how many people would actually be sharing these albums for you. So I hope you enjoyed the stories behind the albums I chose. I hope you enjoyed the music that I decided to display today. A good wide variety of things, I think. And if you did, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Check out Dan's Vinyl channel if you are interested in getting involved in the contest. The rules are pretty simple. Subscribe to Dan's channel. It'll be linked in the comments below. Make a video, 3 to 5 albums that signify a change to you in one way or another. And it'll go till July 4th. So you have till Independence Day to get your entry in. Good luck to everybody who joins. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the thumbs up. Give me a like. And leave a comment. Let me hear what you think of the albums that I displayed for you. Love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. And until next time, keep spinning, vinyl friends.